Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. I am the niche fragrance collector and I love vanilla fragrances. There is something moreish, something alluring, something aphrodisiac when it comes to a beautiful vanilla fragrance. Now the first time that vanilla was introduced to, I guess, a more European palate was when Cortez, the conquistador, went to the New World in 1519 and was presented by the Aztecs this cup of chocolate and vanilla mixed together. I'm gonna say it blew Cortez's brain. He had never tasted anything as divine, as heavenly, as glorious as this would have been. He had discovered gold in his mind. He took this back to the European continent. Now, if you want to taste what Cortez tasted on that very first encounter, you need to go to the town of Modica in Sicily. This is the entry port when it comes to chocolate into Europe, and they still prepare it in the same Aztecian way as they did back then. Now, when it comes to vanilla though, they couldn't get it to work. For 300 years, Mexico had the monopoly on the growth of vanilla. It wasn't until the mid-1800s where a French botanist who basically had had enough, he thought, you know, I'm gonna crack the code, went to find out exactly how is it that the Mexicans are growing vanilla. He took the vanilla orchid to the island of Bourbon, seeing the pieces here, and also to Madagascar, because the conditions were very similar to Mexico. And the one missing ingredient was this beautiful bee that belongs to the Amazon region. Now the Melipona bee is small enough to enter the actual orchid flower. The orchid only flowers for 24 hours, but the window to pollinate is only 2 or 3 hours in the morning. He discovered that the bee goes in, this is in Mexico, the bee goes in, pollinates, and allows the vanilla pod then to grow. He had to hand pollinate in the morning each of these flowers for them to actually become the vanilla bean. To this day, the method has not changed. Actually, in Madagascar, the women who actually do all the pollinating are called matchmakers. Interestingly, it takes 600 flowers to produce 6 kilos of vanilla pods, and they're all wrapped up beautifully in these beautiful bundles. And it takes 500 kilos to produce 1 kilo of vanilla absolute. So you can see that when it comes to cultivating vanilla and extracting vanilla and placing it in perfume or in food, it is ultra expensive. I think it's the second most expensive spice behind saffron. Along came some clever chemists and created a compound called vanillin. Now vanillin can be extracted from multiple sources. Today, most of the vanillin is actually extracted from rice bran. And now all of a sudden, this incredible cost that it comes to when creating an absolute vanilla from a vanilla pod is now reduced to next to nothing. For those who may have missed my episode on is synthetic oils or natural oils better, I guess in summation, and if you want to skip not watching that video, it's basically, what does the perfumer need to create a beautiful fragrance? It could be that they want to use a vanilla sourced from an actual location. Or in some cases, it could be the vanillin, which still has some beautiful nuances that are similar to vanilla as a whole. However, if I look at vanilla in its natural source, it's more than just sweet-like, or it's more than just, well, it's more than just vanilla. I'm trying to define it, but vanilla has its own nuance. If I look at this one here comes from Papua New Guinea. There are jammy components, dark fruit components, there are woody elements to it, and I know that when I split this baby open and see the seeds, this aroma of vanilla and sweet and floral, it just all begins to emerge. I love making vanilla ice cream. I love seeing, well, one, I love vanilla ice cream, and I love seeing the vanilla itself in the ice cream. Gorgeous. If you would like beautiful vanilla fragrances, I've got here a lineup of some just ultra gorgeous. There is an aphrodisiac component to vanilla. I don't know what it is. You know, you smell vanilla in the air and it does arouse certain emotions. I think the classic vanilla dessert for me is a creme brulee. That caramelized sugar that's on the crust, and as soon as you crack that open, that beautiful custard, and seeing the vanilla bean inside the custard, and it's just glorious. Now, if you want the olfactory equivalent to that experience, then there is nothing better, in my opinion, than Fire at Will. This is a fragrance by JOVOY. I've mentioned before that JOVOY is a brand that I discovered much deeper into my niche journey. I regret that. They've got a number of awesome fragrances, beautifully complex, incredible pricing, and the power and longevity that these fragrances have is phenomenal. But fire at will. I mean, I was trying to keep my brain intact as I wanted to share that, because the scent cloud that this fragrance produced on the first spray, the olfactory equivalent to a creme brulee is this fragrance. And it's absolutely true. It starts off with this beautiful brown sugar brightness to it. You can almost taste the caramel components to that. It then migrates to this beautiful creamy vanilla heart, and then finally dries down to a vanilla amber. If you want a vanilla that has this wonderful sensuality to it, this aphrodisiac component to it, then fire at will is definitely a thing. Now, I guess the only part to this could be that you may think that it's a little bit feminine leaning. I would refute that. I love wearing fire at will. I feel that for me, I think it's the musky tones that are at the bottom of it. There are musks in the base of the actual fragrance. It does, to my nose, dry down to a vanilla amber place. Recently, my grandson came over, and as he was coming in for an embrace, he stopped in mid. Now he's a little guy. Think Spider-Man as a child. This is the boy. He stopped in mid-run and he's like, "Buelo, you smell like caramel." And he came in, gave me a hug, and he's like, you smell like caramel." So this fragrance has this beautiful sugary caramel, but the vanilla is really the crowning glory to this fragrance. I get 7 hours comfortably on this fragrance, and the sillage and projection fall both in the moderate. As I mentioned, when little Spider-Man came over, he could already detect the fragrance probably about 2 or 3 meters away from me. It does create a beautiful cloud of this vanilla divineness about you. This fragrance is created by the very talented Vanina Moracciole. This year, we did a fragrance tour. We were able to visit in her atelier. We had a chance to understand how she creates fragrances, actually smell raw ingredients alongside her. It was an absolute joyous experience. If you want 2 fragrances that are a clean vanilla expression, strongly recommend to you Fire at Will, beautifully sweet gourmand style vanilla. The other one that I would recommend to you is Vanilla Powder. This is a new release by Matiere Premiere, the exceptionally talented Aurélien Guichard. I've mentioned his fragrances before, the organic rose farm, the organic tuberose farm. As a creator, the man is incredible. One thing that I love about Aurélien's work is that he grabs a note and then builds around that, the structure of that note. Whatever that ingredient is in nature, he wants to construct it around it so that it almost feels like you're just smelling that particular thing. You have to remember that there are top notes that burn off very easily, then goes into that heart note, which then mix in with the base. So there are all these different things, yet what he wants to do is say, if this is vanilla, then it should smell like vanilla all the way through, that you shouldn't have a citrus that sort of comes in. You know, it should all become very round. One thing that's incredible about all his fragrances is that they do just that. And in Vanilla Powder, when you smell it, you're like, oh, it's vanilla, even in that top note. But interestingly, it does have an evolution, because when you smell it at different stages, you're like, oh wow, this vanilla has now changed. It's now morphed into something else, but it still stays vanilla. I was fortunate to experience this in Cannes. I was invited to join the Libertine Perfumery people while they were having a meeting with Matiere Premiere as they were discussing this new release. I received a small sample. I was wearing it in Cannes. The weather was glorious, it was sunny, and this fragrance radiated. It has incredible push. It just has this, and this is the thing. Sometimes you find that a vanilla fragrance can be, gourmand. It's, you know, you think vanilla and you think gourmand, where here is a vanilla that has woody components to it, has a woody element to it. Not that it's a masculine vanilla. The sweetness has come down. There is a dryness in the actual construct of the fragrance. Off the Matiere Premiere website, it states that the vanilla comes from Madagascar. Now, if you smell this and just think vanilla, that's all you're getting. Just this beautiful vanilla. However, the construct around it, and if you haven't experienced this fragrance, I encourage you to skip, because the moment I say these things, you'll go, oh yeah, I can detect all these other components. So he uses Palo Santo or guaiac wood, and it does have a beautiful woody base. The moment you stop, and you get this beautiful woody, this dryness of the wood coming through. He also uses coconut. And the moment you say coconut, you're like, oh yeah, coconut. It's a dry, not milky, not creamy, this beautiful dry coconut that runs through it. And then that vanilla. There is white musk in the base, and I feel that that white musk brings it down to, takes the sweetness off the fragrance. Between the wood, the coconut, that vanilla from Madagascar, and that white musk combined together, as I said, if you stop and think and smell this fragrance, it's pure vanilla from start to finish. Yet, it does have this beautiful evolution. Spray carefully. I feel that for me, this fragrance here, it just goes on. I always spray on skin. It seeps from my skin into my clothes to the point where I can take off a shirt or whatever I might be wearing. I'll put that shirt back on and I can smell this beautiful, dry, woody vanilla, knowing that it's vanilla powder. So for me, the longevity, 24 hours plus, I feel like the sillage and projection is enormous. It goes from like a huge to a moderate to back to a huge. This thing really has this incredible power. I mentioned that I loved wearing it in Cannes. The weather was warm, it was beautiful and sunny. It worked perfectly in that environment. The coconut in there makes that magic sort of come alive. However, it's been cold here in Melbourne. I've been wearing it also. And same again. This fragrance radiates, projects. It works beautifully. And it was funny because I thought this is a perfect summer fragrance, but in reality, I almost feel that this is actually a perfect winter fragrance. So the bottom line is, no matter what time of year, vanilla powder, pure magic. When this fragrance opens up, it has this beautiful sweet vanilla component, and I'm gonna say that's the vanilla from Madagascar emerging. It then migrates to a wonderful dry vanilla, and finally, it does have this wonderful woody, dusty vanilla accent to it. The name fits it perfectly. Vanilla powder is exactly what it is. This is an incredible fragrance for the office. This is a perfect fragrance for going out. This is a fragrance that can take you from day to night without any problems at all. You could wear it as your office fragrance. I wouldn't even say refresh, but refresh it a little in case if you're going out to a bigger space, just to give that the push to the fragrance. And then it can comfortably be a beautiful going out, evening wear kind of fragrance too. Glorious. And if anything, exceptionally moreish when it comes to that vanilla vibe. Vanilla nowadays is actually predominantly taken from either Madagascar or from Bourbon, hence why you hear Bourbon vanilla or Madagascan vanilla. There are other vanilla sources. I mentioned that this actual vanilla bean is from Papua New Guinea. This one here, it comes from Tahiti. The perfumer, Gianluca Perris, always works to construct fragrances with a singularity to it. The difference is that the source is the core ingredient. If you want something that is incredibly seductive, incredibly alluring, warm, and almost form-fitting when it comes to the way that it sits on your body, Vanille de Tahiti comes from Tahiti. Actually, you know what? This goes on skin. When this fragrance first came out, I'm gonna say that I was to the point of being evangelical about it. I discovered it in March this year at Essence. On first spray, it blew my brain. I think it was like Cortez's first experience with chocolate and vanilla. There was something about it that I just fell in love. I could not get enough of this particular fragrance. Even now, as I sprayed it in there, as I'm sharing with you, there is such a beautiful floral vanilla component to it. It is, I mentioned before that vanilla can be deemed as an aphrodisiac. I feel like this is sensuality. This is now aphrodisiac turned to 11. There is so much more love, potency. This is a fragrance for amorous moments. This is a fragrance for first dates. This is a fragrance for being close with somebody. This is the extract version. The one thing that is different with this versus the EDP is that they have heightened the floral components on the opening. The ylang ylang, the champaka, and magnolia create this bouquet of this sensual yellow floral, but slightly animalic. There are some animalic components from a floral point of view, not from a musk or anything of that nature. As I mentioned, when I came back from Essence, I was like crazy evangelical on this, and I shared it on a few of my mate talks. And I had some subscribers who are men write to me and say, I don't get this fragrance. This is very female leaning. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think this is a very unisex, comfortably anybody could wear this fragrance. But more and more I was getting these comments coming through. So I did a test. I'm fortunate to have a number of people around me who love perfume, and I lined up 10 men from teenagers all the way to older, more mature individuals, and I sprayed on them. I didn't show them what it was. I sprayed on their hand and I asked them, what are you detecting, firstly? And secondly, is this a fragrance for a man or for a woman? Now, everybody detected the vanilla. They're like, wow, this is vanilla. This is a beautiful vanilla. Now, majority said that this was way too feminine leaning. They felt that the florals that came through on this fragrance was a lot more pronounced. The vanilla was there, but the florals really took center stage for them. And you know what? I have to concede, the florals do play a significant role in this, but it's not a feminine leaning fragrance. I mean, to my nose and the way I like to wear it, for me, this is a fragrance for anybody. But as I said, I will concede to this little test case that I did that the florals, those yellow florals in there, are definitely a lot more prevalent. As a result, I guess the assumption could be that it's a feminine leaning fragrance. When this fragrance opens up, it has this beautiful, deep floral component to it. It migrates to a vanilla animalic and finally settles into this vanilla sensuality that makes you want to go, baby, what's your name? It's really a very, very amorous, sexy, sensual fragrance. Big recommendation. Boys, regardless of what this case study said, trust me, this is an easy fragrance that a man can wear too. It's funny, the comedy of that moment, they were saying, you know, boys, relax. It's, you know, this fragrance can easily work on a man, yada, yada. When I first came across this, I'm like, no thanks. Now, I judge this completely on its cover, and that is, for those who have been in, who understand AMOUAGE, know that this square-looking bottle was always designated as the one for the woman, and the more rectangular one designated for man. So I saw the square bottle and I thought, oh yeah. Even though that title they don't use it anymore, but the pink, the soft pink color, I'm like, it's way too feminine. There's probably some soft florals in there. Now, I was fortunate to be with the great Michael Marzano. He was the one that was showing me the fragrance, and all he said to me was, Marcelo. Basically, you know, he was going to clip me on the side of the head. So naturally, of course, obediently, I put my arm out. Now, this fragrance is divine. It is deemed as a floral amber. However, man, woman, anybody can wear this fragrance. And to make that point even clearer, my son-in-law, he loves all things aromatic, mossy woods. I guess almost like a classic young man. In my family, everybody knows the drill. When they come over, there's always fragrances on display. And I said to him, I want you to test out something new. Without even thinking, out comes the arm so that we could test the new fragrance. He asked me, what is it? And I said, don't worry about what it looks like. Just tell me what you think of it. Smell the fragrance and tell me if you like it. I sprayed guidance on him. Instantly, he's like, wow, that's really nice. Beautiful opening. As it migrated into the dry down, they had come over for dinner. And so throughout the night, he kept telling me, I really like this one. I really, really like this one. He goes, which one is it? Because there was a collection on the table. Which one is it? I finally showed him it was this one here. So to judge this by its cover, you're going to miss out on a glorious opportunity. For me, this is a vanilla expression with an incense quality. So the vanilla is not as forward-leading as these three fragrances here, but I feel that the vanilla plays a significant role. If I could give you a visual of what this fragrance is, it's a fruity, French pastry-like scent profile to it. There is a dustiness at the end with that incense, but that pear note that begins at the very beginning, along with that hazelnut, then mixed in with these beautiful florals in the heart, and finally that vanilla and the frankincense from the beginning, I'm telling you, it creates a scent bubble, a scent profile that is intoxicating. Now, my wife does not like wearing vanilla, yet this is a fragrance that she is constantly reaching for. I normally don't tell. If I know that there's a fragrance that there's a note in it that she doesn't enjoy, I normally don't say anything to her. I just let her enjoy the fragrance and then finally do the big reveal. And, you know, by the way, that's got, in this case, vanilla. She always, it's funny because she always does the same sort of like, what? It's like I've told her there's poison in here. For her, the key for this fragrance, and again, this is going on skin, baby. The key note that really accentuates for her is that floral heart. She gets a beautiful rosy component. Now, again, I shouldn't say that to you for the boys who don't want florals in their fragrances or vanilla in their fragrances, put that aside. Please test it on skin. This is something that is just so sublime, so divine. But it is an accented vanilla now, not a full vanilla fragrance. That opening is to die for. For me, it's a baked pear, French pastry style of construct or scent profile that it has. To me, that's exactly it. I feel like the hazelnut gives it a slight woody edge. Neither the pear nor the hazelnut fight for dominance when it comes to that opening. They're both just so sublime together. There is frankincense in that opening too. I don't detect the incense quality on that opening, but deep in the dry down, I'm now getting this dusty vanilla incense quality to it. Glorious. The only warning on this fragrance is it will go for 24 hours comfortably. And I'm gonna say 24 plus hours. As a warning, don't spray on clothing. It'll hang around forever. I always spray on skin. However, it had seeped across into my clothing. I was putting on my pajamas, and as my pajamas was coming over my head, I detected the fragrance. I just had to breathe in. I literally grabbed and it would have looked weird, thank goodness Sandra was sleeping, but I grabbed my pajamas and I just inhaled the clothing. The softness, the pear-like quality, the fruit components, that incense with vanilla, pure magic. It's another one that is really in that pure magic category. The sillage on this is phenomenal. The projection on this is outstanding. My daughter, Maddie, after my son-in-law fell in love with the fragrance, this became Maddie's fragrance. She took with her when we went to the States recently. This was the fragrance that you could just smell in the air whenever she walked into the room. Gentlemen, if you're looking at this particular fragrance, don't be put off by the bottle. Don't be put off by its coloring. This is an incredibly divine, just sublime fragrance. The vanilla touch in here is extraordinary. I feel like it really makes the fragrance sing a lot more, along with the pear. Actually, it's gorgeous, just a gorgeous fragrance. Strong recommendation. When this fragrance opens up, it has this beautiful hazelnut fruity component to it. It does migrate to delicate florals and finally dries down to this wonderful vanilla incense. This is another one of those fragrances that you would go out on a first date with. This is a fragrance you could comfortably go to the office. Just do not overspray. It is very potent, great power, great volume that this fragrance has, both on projection, sillage, and longevity. Boom. Now the next one that I absolutely adore, and I'm talking adore. I fell in love with this middle of this year. For those who are not familiar with the House of BDK, just go and explore anything within the range. They are exceptional, potent, volume, powerful fragrances. And this fragrance here is Villa Neroli. The moment I sprayed, it took me to a place. I had an opportunity to go to Tuscany. We stayed in a town called San Gimignano. The town is famous for its towers. Believe it or not, this tower was where we stayed. In the kitchen level, and you can see through this window, you can see the beautiful Tuscan countryside. Birds around 4 o'clock would swoon around the tower, and the sound of the birds, the sound of the town beneath us, the smell in the air is everything that's in this bottle. It was a summertime expression. There is this blossom, there's this sunshine, there's this joy. There's an expression of happiness just in smelling this particular fragrance. And again, this is another one that's gonna have to go on skin. Oof, 2 sprays, 2 sprays. 2 sprays. Gorgeous. The lament that I have with a lot of orange blossom fragrances is that citrus happiness tends to sort of evaporate pretty quickly. Again, it's a very light molecule. I don't know how they've done it, but with Villa Neroli, the joyous orange blossom sunshine component of the fragrance stays throughout the whole piece. In the base, there are some beautiful anchoring notes, patchouli, vetiver, labdanum, but vanilla from Madagascar. And I think these in combination almost like creates an amber component to it, allows the fragrance to really stay with you. Those early notes of citrus, those early notes of that orange blossom mixed in with that vanilla just creates the most glorious sunshine, happy, vibrant fragrance that there is. This is now vanilla, but with a citrus expression to it. When this fragrance opens up, it has this beautiful sparkling citrus component to it, migrates to a wonderful orange vanilla place, and finally dries down to a floral amber. Considering that it is a citrus style fragrance, it has great longevity, 8+ hours without a problem, and the sillage and projection on this fragrance is phenomenal. Medium to high. Whenever I'm wearing it, people are detecting it. It has wonderful throw. This is one. Now, here's the thing. Sandra, my wife, as I mentioned, if I say vanilla, it's like saying poison. She sort of jumps backwards. Loves this fragrance. She wears it herself to the point. The key is this. She loves orange blossom. She loves that beautiful floral orange blossom component, but really it's the vanilla, that vanilla from Madagascar, that makes the magic really come alive, that creates the longevity of this fragrance. When I'm wearing this, I get yummy sounds. Sandra loves wearing this one too. As a beautiful summer fragrance, amazing. However, as a winter fragrance, there is nothing better. Trust me on this. There is nothing better than Villa Neroli. This will bring sunshine into your life. This will take you to Tuscany, even if you may have never been there. But if you do go to Tuscany, San Gimignano is where you want to go. Stay in one of the towers. It's absolute magic. It'll become Villa Neroli for you too. I mentioned before that AMOUAGE in the early days, a very rectangle looking bottle as the man, the more square bottle as the woman. So there would be Epic Man, Epic Woman. Then with Renaud Salmon coming on board, he changed all of that. He kept the structure or the design of the bottles, but now said, look, hey, fragrance is for everybody. You smell what you love. That's the direction you should go. If you want a woody fragrance with spicy components, with potency and power, but with a vanilla touch, then there is nothing more glorious than Boundless. As a winter fragrance with a vanilla touch to it, it is potent. That ginger and elemi that's in the opening, along with the cardamom, creates this incredible, alluring, but potent opening to the fragrance. It's the vanilla now from Bourbon that actually creates a whole new nuance to this fragrance. If you would like to know more, I did an episode here alongside my sister. We talked about both Material and Boundless, a glorious fragrance. I'm not going to spray it because the moment I do, and it's on this card, it is powerful. As a projecting, as a statement maker, Boundless is incredible. I'm going to move on. This one here, Longue Cuillère. I did do a review on this also, if you want to have a look in more detail. La Collection from Monsieur Pierre Guillaume. So if you want a beautiful vanilla touch that has the sweetness, that has the moreish aphrodisiac component to it, then Fire at Will is just sexy. I know that some men will go, it's a bit too sweet, the brown sugar is really prominent, the vanilla seems to be heightened. Okay, so I would then recommend to you Longue Cuillère. When I first discovered it, it mentioned that it had a salty vanilla vibe. I love all things aquatic. I love all things vanilla. And I thought, how is this going to work? The truth is this, I'm actually wearing it today, so I've been smelling it all day, but you know what? It's gonna go again. I have a library system within my office in which friends and family can, like a library system, take out fragrances, use them, bring them back and rotate through. My photographer, who does a lot of work for us, took this baby out. He didn't want to return it. Because I ask everybody, spend a month with it and then bring it back and you're welcome to take something else. The month came up and I said, hey, can I get my Longue Cuillère back? He didn't want to release it. He mentioned to me that he had never found a vanilla fragrance that he loves as much as this one. I said, what is it about it that you enjoy? And actually it was involuntary because he went, it's just yummy. It's just yummy. So if you want a beautiful, realistic vanilla, but now with more of a, I guess, a masculine lean because of that aquatic, salty air component, this baby here is sensational. I also think his, at the time, girlfriend also loved the smell on him, and if you know what I mean, he was enjoying this fragrance excessively. Glorious. The key to this fragrance here is that the vanilla it's sweet, but not overtly sweet like a Fire at Will. So that creme brulee component, that crusty brown sugar, element that is so beautiful about this fragrance is now being replaced with a salty air, aquatic component. Sometimes there are some aquatic fragrances that have like a marine-like quality. This is not it. This has more of the sea breeze as opposed to the sea ocean or the sea itself. The vanilla for me is the hero here. The vanilla just stays throughout the whole entire fragrance. One thing that I do love about Pierre Guillaume is that he doesn't reveal notes. He's a little bit like Alessandro Caltieri. Test it, try it, see if you like. He gives you some indications, has a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Especially for nerds like me, we want to know, what exactly is happening here. Actually, I had an opportunity to meet Monsieur Pierre Guillaume in his Salon de Composition. What I love about L'Encueillé, vanilla, salty, with a slight musk in there. And I think maybe that's what it is too. It is a vanilla with a salty skin touch to it. It feels like a part of you. Glorious. When this fragrance opens up, it has a beautiful sweet citrus component to it, but it does dry down pretty quickly to that salty vanilla that I was mentioning. On the final dry down, it has this wonderful musky, aquatic vanilla vibe, just glorious. It's like, and I think it's the vanilla salt and skin component that makes this fragrance sing. I feel that the fragrance has 5+ hours and its sillage and projection goes from a moderate to a low, but not a body scent. It is very discernible. When people come up close to me, they can pick up this fragrance. It's one of those fragrances that is perfect for going out, beach or a cafe. Nothing that's over the top, but the moment people come in contact with you, it's like, it's glorious. That vanilla in the fragrance, along with that salty air, is absolute magic. Alors, last one. So, when I first started in niche perfumery, the word oud was similar to Sandra's fear of vanilla. Vanilla, oud. Because oud instantly meant to me animalic, fecal-like, barnyard, very strong and heavy, never wash off. So all these things that just, it would create fear in me. However, today, oud is the most glorious, the most joyous note, the most robust and deep. Such a divine fragrance note. If you want a really beautiful oud, I'd recommend to you Foyer's Malona. This baby here is incredible. It actually uses an oud from Patagonia. So something that is completely unique. When it does dry down, it does go into a cedar-like quality, but this is not about this fragrance. It's about this one here. If you want oud, if you're brand new to oud, great place to start. If you want an oud fragrance, this is not really one. Even though it has oud in the name, I feel that the oud here has really been toned down. For me, the hero to this fragrance is the rose vanilla combination. This creates such a magical, memorable fragrance that just everybody loves. It does have the oud component to it, but not to the point where it's like the oud that you want to know in other fragrances that actually really celebrate that note. The oud is in the background in the distance, but it's wonderfully blended with this rose vanilla component. Now, I mentioned earlier that vanillin is the synthetic note that perfumers like to use. In this case here, Francis Cujon does state off his website that he uses a vanillin amber accord that he has created to combine itself with those beautiful oud and rose notes. I feel like the hero for this fragrance is the vanilla. I find that this fragrance is exceptionally unique. I also find that this fragrance here is the compliment getter. If I'm going out to a large space, I actually went to an outdoor wedding. I was wearing this. I only put on 3 sprays. This baby here was projecting like a beast. This is in a field. When it was a beautiful Aussie wedding out in the sort of the open field, the gum trees everywhere, all that sort of stuff. Kookaburras are in the background. I love kookaburras, by the way. And this fragrance here was just projecting everywhere. I always joke, I was getting more compliments than the bride was just from the scent profile of this particular fragrance. 24 hours plus is what you'll get out of this. The sillage and projection on this is in the atomic category. So there's high and then there's the next level. This baby here will just push itself out to everywhere. When this fragrance opens up, it does have a slight oudy touch to it. It then moves across to this floral heart, but finally, where it rests, where the hero is is that rose vanilla combination. Just divine, really, really exceptional. If you want a fragrance for a date night, to meet someone for the first time, if you want to have it for a special occasion, if you want to have a fragrance that will make you stand out in a very large crowd, there is nothing more potent, more powerful, more beautiful than Oud Satin Mood. That vanilla rose combination is divine. Boom. Vanilla. Look, there's more vanilla fragrances. I really had to, I was debating whether to bring this baby in or not, but I had to show something that came from bourbon. That bourbon vanilla, I feel, creates a wonderful touch to this particular fragrance. But what are your favorite vanilla fragrances? I look forward to reading your comments. Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.